Good afternoon, friends. Tony Pellegrini here from Southern Utah University, the Teacher Education Department, with our Elevating the Classroom, a legacy of teacher preparation at SUU. This is a podcast series dedicated to celebrating and exploring the century-long tradition of teacher preparation at Southern Utah University. This series will highlight the vital relationships between pre-service teachers and experienced master mentor teachers in our K-12 schools. By sharing stories and insights from both sides of this partnership, our podcast aims to underscore the impact of this collaboration on teaching and learning in Utah and beyond. We are grateful today to have two very special guests. I'm sitting alongside the table here with Laureen Graves. She's our co-host today. And we have two wonderful educators from the Iron County School District, Kate Swain and Maddy Johnson, our student teacher. Kate and Maddy, would you take a moment or two just to introduce yourselves a little bit for our listeners?
All right. So my name is Kate Swain. I have been with Iron County School District since 2016. I started my career in Northern Utah at Roy High School. I was there for a few years before I came and moved back to Southern Utah. And I love Southern Utah.
It's a beautiful place.
Awesome.
And I'm Maddy Johnson. I'm from Spanish Fork. I went to SUU for about 5 years. Luckily, I decided to be a teacher after a while. I graduated this last May, and I took a job in Uinta County at the high school, and just happy to be here.
We are happy to have you as well, too. Laureen, we don't want to leave you out. Would you take just a moment to introduce yourself as well for our listeners?
Yes, I'm Laureen Graves, and I'm a professor in the teacher education department, but my best job is when I get to interact with student teachers and help them through that experience. And so Maddy was one of our student teachers last semester, and I got to see this really dynamic relationship between Maddy and her mentor teacher, Kate Swain. And as soon as we talked about this particular topic, I said, I have the perfect pair for this podcast. And so we're happy that you agreed to talk with us.
Thank you so very much, Laureen, and thank you, please, Kate and Maddy. We're so grateful to have you here. Let's just jump in with the questions if we could. The first question I wanted to address is the impact of mentorship. Even from your introduction, Maddy, I see success there. You're off to Uinta next year in part because of the mentorship that you've had at Cedar High School. I think that's exciting and wonderful. But both Kate and Maddy, how do mentor teachers influence the development of pre-service teachers, and what specific qualities or practices have you found to be most effective in fostering that strong mentor-mentee relationship? Maddy, what are your thoughts?
So being a student teacher, it was a lot of pressure, but really exciting. And being paired up with Kate was such a blessing. I feel like part of that question you asked was effective in fostering a strong mentor-mentee relationship. And Kate did a really fabulous job making sure that I felt comfortable and that we had clear communication. She gave me lots of flexibility, which was fun, and I could do kind of what I wanted, and I still had some structure. And then we also, went to events at the school outside of work. Some of my favorite times were during our prep, just laughing, and of course prepping. But she was really, really good at making sure that I was comfortable, making sure that I was okay. And that is ultimately just treating each other with respect, honestly. It was a really good experience.
I love that.
That courtesy and respect is so essential in human relationships, and Laureen is all about relationships. She's going to share that with us as well, too. Kate, any specific qualities or practices that you found in encouraging or nurturing the mentees like Maddy that you've had?
I think just having that ideal that you remember what it's like to be there. I remember being a new teacher very vividly, maybe because it was a little bit, my first teaching job, I got hired the day before school started. Okay. And I always remember just that panic of, oh, now what am I going to do? And having people that supported me and encouraged me, even though there were times that I wasn't doing as well as I should, or maybe as well as I wished I would be. But they were always so positive, and I had the opportunity to do that with Maddy. Maddy was so positive from the very beginning of her student teaching. She wanted to learn, she wanted to soak up all of it. And so it was so easy for me to talk with her and figure out, how we can make her experience a positive one.
Thank you so much, Kate. We sure appreciate that. Laureen, do you have any follow-up questions, or do you have another question you'd like to
Yeah.
address? Please.
I want to talk about how student teaching is at the height of real world experience, right? That's the best we can do as we prepare you to be teachers. But Kate, can you share a memorable experience from your own mentoring journey that highlights the challenges and the rewards of guiding a pre-service teacher like Maddie or any others? I know you've done it several times.
I think the first thing is letting them know that it's okay. One thing about mentoring is the students are always harder on themselves than we are. I mean, they are definitely harder on themselves. They're definitely more critical. And just knowing that this is a process. Every year you're going to get better as a teacher. You're not going to come out of the gate being 100%. Nobody does that ever. And so having that patience with yourself and teaching them to be patient with themselves. And there's some that are so frustrated that I think they get discouraged when it's not always like it was in college in the classroom, because bless their hearts, the children never do what you expect them to. And so just having that patience and having fun with the students. And that was one thing that Maddie did. She connected with students really well. So it really made my job easier. But helping her not be hard on herself, that was probably my job.
That's great. And she definitely needed it. Maddie, follow up with that.
Yeah, student teaching was, I don't know, it's kind of like a hard point of my life. And then like just diving into real world was pretty crazy. I had only been in the classroom only a handful of times. And so, yeah, being hard on myself has always been quite something, because of course you want the lessons to be perfect and you want an observation to go well, or, you want to be that educator that's memorable. But also, like Kate said, you're not going to be perfect right out of the gate. And she really was my cheerleader. Like over and over and over again, we had this like little saying, "Did you die?" Like, okay, the lesson might have bombed a little bit, okay, but did you die? Are the students okay? Okay, let's move on. It's going to be fine. Try again next time. And I pretty much live by that still, like, it's going to be fine. And so just being positive, because I did get discouraged a few times, because it's hard to get like negative feedback, but also how are you going to grow? So just being able to take that feedback, and it's not necessarily negative, it's constructive. It's just hard not to take it negatively sometimes.
Absolutely.
So just being able to take it willingly and grow from that has been really, really helpful. Even, I got observed today. It's part of teaching. And so just being able to receive different pointers has become good. It's been a good thing.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things we have tried to make a change this year here at SUU is switching the role from having to fill out observation forms and be more an evaluator, but just to be a coach, right? So, Kate, we've made that switch as your role is more of a coaching role. And in the end, you have to kind of do a final evaluation. But the hope was to just take away that stress that the student teacher sees you as an evaluator. Rather, we want them to see you as a coach. And so there's no fear coming to you and asking questions or if a lesson doesn't go great, to be, they're going to mark me down. It's just, that's okay. We work through it, and you guys are a great model of that. Maddie, I know during your student teaching, you had some extra challenges. Student teaching is hard enough on its own. You also had to complete the PPAT, and you also had some health challenges. Talk about that. How did you get through all of that, and share what you'd like about that particular challenge as you were going through student teaching?
Well, this kind of builds off the last little bit, the last question, when I said observations and negative feedback. It's more, everyone wants you to do well. They want you to be a good educator. They want you in the field. And so I had, obviously, you two. So I had Laureen and Tony. They were always in my corner. And then I had Kate. So it was like I always had people cheering me on. And so when I felt like, oh, I don't want to go deal with some eighth graders today. They're fantastic, by the way. Love them dearly. And they're a great age. But, teaching can get a little hard sometimes. I just reminded myself, like, I have people that are going to support me. And, like, if I feel really gross today, I got someone that will hurry and switch me out when I have to sprint to the restroom. And for people listening, I had some kidney issues. And so I had to, go throw up a little bit once in a while. And then I had a professor holding my hair once in a while. It was a very unique experience because I feel like a lot of times you feel like a number in a classroom. And that wasn't my experience at all. I felt very supported. And with, the PPAT, PPAT, that was a lot. And then student teaching was a lot. And then the health issues were a lot. But I never felt like I was not going to do it. Like, of course, I had those days where I was like, oh, I wish I could stop. But like, I never felt like I was going to quit. And I'm teaching ninth grade right now, and it's so rewarding. So I'm happy that I made it through.
It's amazing. You're amazing.
We sure appreciate that. And I love these success stories. That's what this whole series is about. Let me turn to Kate for just a moment. And Kate, as you've had we've heard wonderful success stories with Maddie, but with your other mentees, what are some success stories that demonstrate the long-term benefits of that mentor-student connection? I can't imagine Maddie's ever going to be off your Facebook page. You're going to be partners or whatever page is the right page today. I'm using wrong terms, but can you talk to us about some of those lasting relationships and the importance of those relationships that you have and that they have to continue to be great teachers?
You know what? I was blessed to get that in college, just like Maddie. I had professors that I was probably in their office more than they wanted. They probably rolled their eyes behind my back, but to my face, they were lovely. And they were so great to support me. And I remember my first year teaching, I emailed back and said, hey, remember that story that we read in this class? And, oh yeah, let me send it to you. And they were so great to support me beyond my classroom, my being in their classroom. My first job teaching, I had teachers that made sure that I was prepared, made sure that I had ideas. If I was struggling with students, I could go in and say, how would you handle this? Also with others, moving to a new school and starting those relationships all over again, I could still, email back and say, hey, I'm struggling with this new class that I have. What can I do? And so I think this part of, education is such a small world in the fact that we are all connected. We're all struggling with the same thing. We're all succeeding. And it's important to share those things and to build those friendships because sometimes education is a very difficult job. Okay, a lot of times education is a very difficult job. And so to have that support of each other and have that trust that you build, those are the things that are going to make a difference. And those are the things that are going to make these teachers into some amazing teachers because they are going to be. And I saw that in Maddie. One thing that was really distinct with Maddie was that she had a growth mindset the entire time. I mean, she was looking for ways that she could improve. It was never, I feel horrible, I don't want to come, I'm just going to quit. That was just never her attitude. And there was days where if I was Maddie, I would have said, peace out. Like it was hard. It was rough. And she never did. And to have that strength for me as a mentor, how can I not support that? I mean, how can I not say, look, she's working so hard and all the things she's sacrificing. And so it was a pleasure for me to be able to assist in that. That was a gift to me.
Thank you so much, Maddie. I want to kind of put your feet to the fire just a little bit, Maddie. Okay. You are a student leader, and next year at Uinta, you're going to be a teacher leader. You've got such a wide variety of friends, associates, peers. so profound. Can you talk to us for a moment, kind of from the perspective of those long-term benefits of that strong student teacher to student teacher? You're going to have these You're not going to have just Kate as a mentor, but you've got at least a half a dozen friends that I could name here that are going to be teaching across the Intermountain West. How are you going to stay connected with them, and what's the power of those continuing relationships do you see?
Just to clarify,
Please.
I'm talking about the people I went through student teaching with.
Yes, or
My
even those
connections?
that you went through block. You better. Those that have gone through your content
Sure.
area with you that are going to
And
be
I mean,
teachers.
Yeah, and I have like lots of relationships because I started as a teacher here at Uinta this school year, and my support system here is crazy. But to keep the connections with the people that I started with, I mean, I have one friend in northern Utah in Ogden. She's teaching her heart out, and we rant about certain things, but we also share ideas. Oh, I saw this. We should try this engagement strategy. And then I feel like it's like, well, back to what Kate said, education, you're so linked. No one wants to see you fail. And so if you have a really hard class, and it's inevitable to have one that's just a little extra, that there are people that have had hard classes and they have really fun ideas to help you get through that. So with my friends from student teaching, we stay connected. We have a group chat that once in a while we talk about all of our experiences. Some are only subbing, some are coaching, some are full-blown teaching, and everyone just wants each other to succeed. And it's been, like I said, I have been so lucky with my support systems. I don't know very many people that have their professor's phone numbers and you talk frequently, or your student teacher mentor and you talk, well, randomly. We could talk a little bit more. But I think that, like I said, student teaching was a blessing. It was so hard. It was so hard, but it was such a blessing and so eye-opening into how much I love education, because it is not an easy job, but it is a good job.
It
is
I'm going to
rewarding.
say a wonderful job. I'm going to say it is challenging, but it is wonderful. And I love the connection that you made with success. That success breeds success. And as Kate identified in you a little bit earlier, that mindset, that open mindset that, hey, we can make this happen. How can we make this happen? How can I get the support that I need from others to really be successful? And I think that is evidenced in the learners whose lives you touch as well, too. Laureen, I've been talking too much. It's your turn.
No, Maddie, I love, because I came to the library when your peer coaching group was meeting, when you were working through PPAT and those late nights, and you really had each other's backs. And I think that transitions into, as you're a teacher, you've got to have that team that you work with and collaborate with, and that's how we get through it. One of our biggest challenges in education right now is retaining teachers. You know, we have teacher burnout, and we're passionate about this because we understand that if our student teachers have a positive experience, that we're able to retain them for longer periods. And that's our goal is that you get in it and you're ready to go and you feel supported, and so you're in it for the long haul, which is awesome. All right, just one final question.
I think so. You go, and then I've got a very short one.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
I love how the two of you built trust and communication. And so I want you to share just a little bit some of the things that you did to build that trust and communication, to navigate both the difficult things with feedback and constructive feedback, but also, Maddie, speak a little bit about some of the things Kate did that were well outside her requirements as being a mentor teacher.
With building the relationship, I feel like it was quite natural. I think we have very similar personalities. I mean, there's differences, but we complemented each other pretty well. And it was her first year in a new content area. She had been an English teacher before. And so it felt like we were learning together. I mean, she's so knowledgeable, but like being able to build curriculum together and just see the ins and outs of that, because now I'm building curriculum on my own, was really helpful. And with communication, We had a really good team. It was not just us. We had another teacher across the hall and another student teacher, and it was like us four against the world. And it was fun, and I really do actually miss being able to joke around and support each other that way every day. But Kate went like above and beyond because she didn't necessarily volunteer for me, and she just took me in like so willingly. I'm sure it was so much at first, but she really supported me. And not only that, she would buy me a drink during lunch, or she would just like these things that she did not need to do. Like she took care of me. And like by the end of our student teaching experience this last spring, she invited me and a couple other student teachers and two other coworkers of hers, and she made us dinner. And I'm still dreaming about that dinner. It was so good. She went like it's from scratch. Oh my goodness. Like I am just so lucky to be around so many amazing people. And then she also made me a blanket because I was going to I got a kidney out right after student teaching. And she made me this like beautiful blanket and like this gift going away. And I cherish it to this day. Anyway, so the way that she went about just making me feel cared for and supported, because obviously you're going to bomb some things while teaching. It's going to happen. You got to learn. But making sure that I knew that I'm going to be fine, just got to keep on moving, and that she just cared, like above and beyond cared, is just, I'm just so lucky. That's all I got to say about that.
I love that. Kate, you're a master teacher. You are committed to your students, to giving them the best experience and the best learning. But here's this student teacher that's maybe going to mess up. How did you give her that trust to hand over your class to her?
It's kind of fascinating because that was more difficult than I thought it was going to be, because it is hard to hand over your class when you've kind of built those relationships. But it was really fun to see a few things. First of all, my students interacted with Maddie really well. They knew she cared for them. And that was one gift that Maddie really had. That is a talent. I had to learn that, whereas Maddie that's a talent for Maddie, making connections with students. And so that made it a lot easier. I also think that as teachers, often we are isolated in our classrooms by ourselves. And so with Maddie and a student teacher, it makes you look at teaching a little bit differently. And it makes you kind of step back and realize that there's a lot more to teaching than just curriculum. You can teach anyone curriculum. That's probably the easiest part of it. But teaching itself is about making those connections with not only your students, but your fellow teachers and your administration and wherever you're going to be, and making yourself a part of the school. When you interact with students on an outside basis, at orchestra concerts or at a play, or do something silly at an assembly, I mean, that's when they see you as, oh, that's not just my teacher, that's like really a person. And so those are the connections where they see you. And Maddie was so good at that, but that's kind of the name of the game. When you can make those connections with those students, not just as a mentor teacher, but it's the same thing. And so once you make those connections, they're willing to do whatever you ask them to. They have a buy-in. And so they know, and they also know that you care. Once they know you care, then teaching the curriculum is easy.
Love that.
Thank you so much, Kate and Maddie. I promised you no more than a half an hour, and I'm probably over a couple minutes. But first, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being yourselves. Thank you for sharing. Our listeners are going to so appreciate this. Now, Laureen and I have kept you in the hot seat the last half hour. We're not going to take another half hour, but in a couple of minutes, we need to sit in the hot seat. Can you tell us a little bit about what changes or innovation in our teacher preparation program could enhance that mentor-student connection that you've had, that would ensure that new educators are better equipped for the challenges that they're going to face in their futures? What are some things we could do better?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
It is, but give it to us both barrels. I've got my iron underwear on today. I can handle it today, okay?
No, I think you guys did a really good job at a lot of things. I think that this is not necessarily on you. I think that not being able to be in the classroom very much was really, really hard. Elementary goes straight in, and it's part of being a secondary education major. But it's really hard to like, okay, I'm going to be a teacher in like next semester or in the fall when you've only been in the classroom for 3 months ever. So that was kind of hard. But like with the relationships and like being able to hopefully have other people have a relationship with Kate, like Kate and I have, it's just making sure that before they go into the student teaching experience that they have that growth mindset, because it is not easy. It is, you are going into someone's classroom that they've built from the ground up. Their baby is their curriculum. And just like making them realize that you got to grow from it. You need to, make positive relationships with the people around you. You're not always going to get along with everybody. And just learn from who's around you, because you can learn from anyone. People do really, really amazing things. And some things maybe you're like, I probably won't use that in the future. But just having that in your brain helps a lot. And just having them realize like it's worth it all. Like it really is. And you're not going to feel completely prepared when you go into teaching. It's impossible. Like I had a good experience in student teaching. Kate taught me a crazy amount. Tony, Laureen, you've taught me a ton, but I have learned so much on the job. Like I've hit some walls like, oh, yep, I didn't do that right. Gotta keep on growing. So just realizing that you're never going to be 100%, but if you have that growth mindset, that you're going to be fine.
That's great.
Kate, what can we do better? How can we get you more like Maddie, but even better if there is such a thing?
You know what? I would love to see more time in the classroom. I don't know how to arrange that. I don't know how to give teachers more time, because really that is what it's all about, is getting the more time in the classroom. And that is, I don't even know how you would go about doing that. I know different universities that I've been with, they have different things that they do. But I think the more teachers are in a classroom, the more they experience different grades, the more they experience different curriculum. A lot of junior high and high school, I've taught high school and junior high, and there are a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences with the students. And so maybe just giving them that opportunity to go into a classroom, maybe one classroom for a week, and just, I'm going to teach this lesson, and just having that experience to just do it maybe once, or getting them involved more in schools. And I know in Iron County that's a little difficult because we don't have a lot of schools. It might be a little bit easier up north where there are a lot of schools, but the more experience you have going in, the better off you're going to be.
Amen. We agree, and we're 100% always working on that. And you are part of that solution, Kate. Thank you for opening your classroom, allowing students to come in and learn in your classroom. And thank you both. So in conclusion, here in our podcast of Elevating the K-12 Classroom, a Legacy of Teacher Preparation at SUU, we not only honor the longstanding tradition of excellence at Southern Utah University, but we also want to shed light on the powerful connections that shape the future of education. Through engaging content and compelling stories like we've heard today, we hope this podcast will provide valuable insights into the transformative journey of pre-service teachers and their mentors, celebrating their shared commitment to fostering educational excellence. Kate and Maddie, thank you so much for talking to us today. We loved hearing from you, and we just appreciate your example and the great things you're doing. What a great pairing. We've got a first-year teacher and a veteran teacher, and it's a beautiful thing.
It was awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, friends.
Thanks, guys.